Did you hear that last night? Did you feel the earth shaking? Did you hear the masculine screams of terror? Did you see the overwhelming sense of panic on social media as people were realizing that they were now getting exactly what they wanted? Well, Casey, are you talking about the panic coming from the presidential campaign of Cam Harris? Now, believe it or not, there is far more panic coming out of the WNBA dump than there is coming from Cam Harris. At least with the leader of the cackling choir, there's a little bit of a bright side, even though her campaign seems to be destined for huge embarrassing failure. Even though the face of Tampax was absolutely humiliated last night during the vice presidential debate. At least Cam Harris has a false sense of hope knowing that the election is still a full month away. Unfortunately for Kat Engelbert and the dump divers in the WNBA, there is no hope. There is no savior. Jealous dump divers, they are getting exactly what they deserve, and I'm here for it. I am here to watch ratings in this rancid dump crash and burn. And I'm going to watch it with a smile on my face because there is nothing in this country more deserving of huge embarrassing failure than the WNBA dump. If you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Link to the second channel in the description below. Already got the video recorded for tonight's episode on the second channel. Topic is going to be the woke media panicking over last night's debate. You know, for some reason, I guess I am now considered an expert on the WNBA. Over the past week or two, I have received countless emails from you guys letting me know about other channels here on YouTube using clips of my videos to emphasize their own points that they're making on the WNBA. Now, I can assure you, being considered an expert when it comes to analyzing the worst basketball imaginable, it is not a title that I relish. It's not a status that I wanted. When I was growing up, I didn't tell my dad, "Hey Dad, when I grow up, I want to be an expert in the field of masculine women." Had I said that to my dad 35 years ago, he would have snuck me into a strip club to ensure I knew what women were supposed to look like when I grew up. The last place he would have taken me is to the dump. Throughout the season, though, we have been bombarded with propaganda from the mainstream media. The media has been trying to convince us that the WNBA is mainstream. The media has been trying to convince us that the WNBA is popular. This league is amazing! The WNBA is filled with huge stars! Angel Reese, Dawn Taurasi, Bob Griner, John Carrington. The unique names and elite athleticism has captured the attention of prepubescent boys across America who have dreams of becoming the first WNBA player to dunk a basketball the size of a golf ball. You know, as I was getting my hair cut this afternoon, I was thinking about these abysmal ratings in the WNBA, and I was thinking about the false narrative that the mainstream media is pushing with these ratings. It reminded me of the false narratives that the media creates with professional wrestling. Well, Casey, don't you mean sports entertainment? Yeah, sure. If you were to believe these nerds and booger pickers who call themselves wrestling journalists, wrestling journalist, what the hell is that? What the hell do they write about? Wow, did you see that clothesline? Bobby Boodle came flying off the top rope and took Bastion Booger's head off. It almost looked real too, except Bobby Boodle was about 6 feet away from making real contact. Wrestling journalist. If you were to believe these so-called wrestling journalists, you would think that professional wrestling is popular. Professional wrestling is back in the mainstream. When the reality is, wrestling is a very, very niche form of entertainment. They appeal to a certain demographic, which consists of mostly men between the ages of 18 and 34 who haven't seen the inside of a woman since birth. And wrestling, it appeals to young kids who haven't aged to the point that they realize it's complete bullshit. Now, I don't blame young kids for watching wrestling. Hell, they're supposed to. I loved it when I was growing up. But if you're a 40, 45-year-old man and you're screaming at your TV on Monday night because Michael Cole isn't calling the fake fights like you think he should, you got a serious problem. Anyway, these so-called wrestling journalists would lead you to believe that wrestling is back in the mainstream. They'll point to the fact that the WWE is breaking revenue records. They'll point to the fact that 1.5 million people are watching on Monday nights and claim that wrestling is a mainstream product. It's not. The WWF hasn't been mainstream since the late 90s when they were pulling 7, 8, 9 million viewers on Monday nights. Back then, they had actual mainstream stars. Steve Austin, The Rock, Ken Shamrock, Kurt Angle, Hogan, Goldberg, Ric Flair. They had legitimate stars that you would actually recognize at the airport. Who is the biggest star in wrestling today? Seriously, who is their mainstream star? Well, KC, Cody Rhodes is a huge star. If you saw Cody Rhodes on the marquee, you would think that he is starring in a Broadway play about Eminem. You wouldn't think that guy is the biggest mainstream star in fake wrestling. Same thing in the WNBA. The WNBA is a very niche product. Throughout the season, though, the media has created this narrative that the WNBA is full of mainstream stars. The WNBA has an abundance of players that people are willing to pay money to watch miss layups, when the reality is, people are not willing to pay pesos to watch this garbage. The other night, the second round of the chase for the golden toilet officially began. Quick, can you name the 4 dumps left in the chase? Can anyone name the 4 dumps who are fighting for access to the golden throne? Other content creators on YouTube, they're treating me like some kind of WNBA expert. I couldn't name them. The remaining 4 dumps, they're the New York Liberals, the Las Vegas Anonymous Faces, the Minnesota Linkers, and the Female Sons from Connecticut. What do all 4 of these teams have in common? Well, of the 50 or 60 players, there ain't a single mainstream star. Well, KC, AJ Wilson plays for the Anonymous Faces. She's a big star. AJ? Star? You know, there's a reason they're called the Anonymous Faces. They're anonymous. Sunday afternoon, ABC, Game 1 between the Liberals and the Unknown Faces. 929,000 viewers. Woohoo! That number is great! Yeah, I mean, that is a great number for the WNBA. It's absolutely atrocious for ABC. So far this week, the WNBA playoffs, least watched program on ABC, and it ain't even close. Something called GMA3, which I would assume translated to English, that means Good Morning America Trace. The 3rd edition of Good Morning America, 1.3 million viewers. Ratings were so low for the WNBA, they didn't make the top 20 on ABC. Now, unfortunately for the dump, Liberals' Faces, that was the highlight so far this week, because things went from bad to worse. Sunday night, the Linkers and the Female Sons were on ESPN. Now, keep in mind, the Female Sons were averaging close to 2 million viewers when they were playing against Caitlin Clark. These are the same Female Sons that claim Caitlin Clark is not the only draw in the WNBA. Sunday night against the Minnesota Linkers, 654,000 viewers. Since Caitlin Clark was eliminated from the playoffs, WNBA ratings have declined 50%. They have lost half of their audience in less than a week, and it's only going to get worse from here. Matter of fact, it's about to get a lot worse. Last night, both games were broadcast on ESPN2. Now, ratings haven't been released yet, but I can pretty much guarantee neither game last night eclipsed 600,000 viewers, and I'm being generous with that number. Ratings for games broadcast on ESPN2 significantly lower than games broadcast on ESPN or ABC. And that's true for all leagues, not just the WNBA. But my thing is, I thought ESPN was the proud home of pretend basketball. Why in the hell is their crown jewel? Why in the hell is their premier dump, the dump of dumps, being relegated to ESPN2 on a Tuesday night? What was so important on a Tuesday night that the WNBA got pushed to a station that no one watches? ESPN decided Major League Baseball would take precedence over the WNBA. Now, baseball doesn't take precedence over damn near anything. If you gave the networks a choice between baseball and the NBA, baseball and college football, baseball and March Madness, every single network in the country is going to neglect baseball. But when it comes to the WNBA, ESPN feels like Major League Baseball is more important. As expected, attendance for the second round of the WNBA playoffs absolutely abysmal. We are still yet to see a game sell out in the WNBA playoffs. Hell, they can't even get the Target Center in Minnesota filled to half capacity. The Liberals, they are struggling to fill seats in the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. It's just an absolute disaster. Like I said a few weeks ago, this has the potential to be humiliating for the WNBA. Throughout the regular season, most of the league's nationally televised games, they featured Caitlin Clark. We're about to have a scenario where the playoffs are drawing significantly less than the regular season. And you know what? Nothing is going to change. Next season, jealous dump divers, they will treat Caitlin Clark the same way they treated her this year. Kat Engelbert and the WNBA front office, they will continue to disrespect her. And they deserve exactly what they get for it. They are quickly falling out of the mainstream, and it is exactly what the WNBA deserves. But give me your thoughts on this. Caitlin Clark eliminated from the playoffs, WNBA ratings declined by 50%. Will they even be able to maintain this current level? Will they be able to maintain 6, 7, 8, 900,000 viewers? I don't think so. I think we are going to see ratings get worse. But what about you? Sound off in the comments below. Like, subscribe, share the video. Appreciate your support. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.